Today's AskReddit post. Tattoo artist of Reddit. What's the most beautiful saddest request you've ever gotten or one that has stood out? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. My oldest ever client. She was 76 and had just received a bad diagnosis, so had come in with her son to cross off get a tattoo from her bucket list. She wanted a blue dragonfly on her collarbone, but couldn't stand upright and steady for long. So, with the help of her son, I had to lay her down on the bed to apply the stencil. Wherever possible, you should always apply a stencil with a client standing naturally, so that the design isn't distorted when gravity shifts their body. She laughed hysterically when she stood up to check the stencil placement and it shifted from her shoulder and disappeared into her cleavage. We had a great time during the tattoo. The three of us laughed and joked. She had a great sense of humor and was really positive despite her grim diagnosis. 2.5 years later, she returned to the tattoo shop, now 78, far less energetic this time. She asked me to add her son's name beneath the blue dragonfly. He had suddenly fallen sick and passed away before her. And I'm crying. My partner pro bono's tattooed nipples on women's reconstructed breasts. She is a cosmetic tattooist and post-operative breast cancer patients are referred to her. They often cry when they see themselves after the procedure. They say it is feeling whole again after so much trauma. There is a hole inside of me, where something wholesome used to be. I thought it lost for good, but then, you came and made me whole again. Thank you, Sprog. I will have to have this procedure one day, and that poem gave me warm feelings. Best wishes to you and your recovery. Godspeed. A young woman came in wanting a belly button tattoo. When I asked what she wanted in her belly button, she said, "I don't have a belly button. I want you to tattoo one on me." She was born with malfunctioning organs, and as a newborn the doctors had cut her open from sternum to tailbone in order to remove said organs and then stitched her back up, leaving 2 small holes in her side for waste. She was perfectly sealed up apart from those 2 holes. After I had tattooed a dainty little grey and pink navel, she got up to have a look. Tears welled in her eyes and then she did a little dance as she squeaked. I've never felt closer to my mother. The shop got a little dustier that day. That was just about the best feeling I've ever had after completing a tattoo. Did you make her an innie or an outie? LOL, she preferred an innie. Innie club represent. Finally a club for me. My sis is an artist. She had a client she really liked, did some good portraiture work on. The client was out at dinner one night when she suddenly got a headache and died on the spot from a brain aneurysm, leaving behind her young son. My sister did a charity event to raise money for her family and tattooed dozens of red balloons in her memory. I'm still really proud of her for doing that. Edit. Holy shit guys, wow. Just wanted to say, if you're having the worst skull splitting headache of your life, do not hesitate. Call 911. It's slim, but you do have a chance if you know what to do. My girlfriend's dad died from a brain aneurysm just a couple days ago. It can happen to anybody at any moment. I already miss Grant Imahara. He was such a great guy. Death by an aneurysm may sound peaceful, but you don't get to say your final goodbyes. Edit. A word. Death by what now? Brain anal rhythm. Not me, but my artist. A guy came in his shop and asks for a St. George killing the dragon tat. My artist did the job and that was it. Like a month after, a girl came in the shop and she asked 2 for the same design. And my artist said something like, "Oh good, I have done the same picture like a month ago. So I'm still fresh and can do a really good job." And as soon as he finished the sentence, the girl started crying really bad. The guy was her brother that committed suicide 1 week before, and she wanted the tat for legacy. He did the job pro bono. Edit. Some spelling. English is not my first language. Sorry for the mistakes. S. George killing the dragon tat. My sleep-deprived brain interpreted this as Serious George killing the dragon and pictured Curious George's much more dangerous brother. I really kind of want a Serious George tattoo now, TBH. The brother who was never loved, never had a childhood, forced to trained to kill, while his younger brother, whom he loved and protected, had his innocence guarded. He was forced into a life of cold-blooded assassination. His name is Serious George. What's your Venmo, bro? Gonna send you $2 duck gold. I tattooed a pig and rooster on a young couple's feet. He got the rooster. She got the pig. Traditionally, sailors would get these designs tattooed as a superstitious way to keep from drowning. A few months later, he contacted me to let me know that a while after they got the tattoos, they broke up. She then took her own life. He came back to me to get the pig tattooed on his other foot to match. It was a heavy day, for sure. I knew a couple like that once. They decided they'd take a break, and shortly after, the girl took her life. They were both close friends of mine, and everyone who knew her took it rough. We had a memorial at my school. There was a lot of crying. Her boyfriend needed a lot of consoling. He felt super guilty. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. My girlfriend took it particularly tough. They were best friends. It doesn't surprise me that my friend feels guilty over her death. I would too if I were in his position. But nobody could have known that would happen. If anyone who reads this is in a position where you're considering suicide, you're loved. There are people who love you, whether they make that clear all the time or not. And to everyone else, make sure that the people you love know they're loved. It goes a long way. So weird to be browsing Reddit after finishing my suicide note to come across this message. This might sound a bit weird, but I think you just saved me. Thank you. If I could award you I would, but I'm broke. Edit. Oh shoot. I just finished drawing and came back to this. Thank you for the awards. It's oddly comforting to hear so many stories of people in positions similar to mine. I hope each and every one of us can get through this. My sil got a tattoo of an owl and had my brother's ashes mixed with ink for the owl's eyes. My brother had very vibrant and striking blue eyes, and the owl has the same shade of blue eyes. They can do that? That's kind of unsettling, also hardcore. Most tattoo ink is made from animal ashes in the first place. That's why vegan tattoo ink exists. Most tattoo inks are vegan. The vegan thing is a rumor created by marketing. It's like when companies put halal or kosher on products that are obviously that just to grab that market. They might as well write lead-free or made with 0% battery acid, which obviously no inks would contain, but by saying your products doesn't have those things you imply your competitors' products do. Edit. I'm not saying kosher and halal things are a ploy. I'm saying that companies that already make products that conform to those standards will choose to add the identifying symbols to be immediately preferable to people who practice these diets. Much like vegan labels on tattoo ink. Edit. A better example than kosher and halal would have been gluten-free chicken, low cholesterol water, fat-free gummy bears, and asbestos-free cornflakes. There is a significant amount of non-vegan tattoo equipment, but not as much as the existence of advertised vegan tattoo ink would lead you to believe. It's not like most tattoo equipment is non-vegan, and a vegan would need to seek out vegan alternatives like soy milk, low-calorie tattoo. I was an apprentice and I sold custom drawings at the same time. I once had a woman who wanted a rainbow heart that looked like shattered glass. She then explained me that it was in memory of her daughter, who died from a car crash. The day of her death, she came out to her mom as a lesbian. Her mom didn't react well and the daughter went for a drive to vent a little. The drive is the one who killed her. I could tell through the mails how devastated her mom was, and how guilty she felt. It really broke my heart. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect it to blow out like this. Thanks kind strangers for the awards. For more details, it was in France. Several years ago, I was a part-time apprentice. It was one of my first customers. Kind of a brutal start in the business. I was just 18, I'm now 25, almost 26, and quit the job since, and it still haunts me sometimes. It was heartbreaking. Wow, that's sad. That kinda hurt. Edit. Great, my account used to look at guys have sex has more karma than my main. That kinda hurt. My best friend is a tattoo artist and a client walked in. He asked for a tattoo of his daughter's scar in the same area so his daughter won't be self-conscious about it. Throughout the appointment, he talked about his daughter and how proud he was of her. I've seen a news story about a young girl who had to have a brain tumor removed. It left a large scar on one side of her head. So her dad got a tattoo of a scar in the same place on his head. I remember seeing a picture of a dad that got a cochlear implant tattooed in the same spot his young son had received one himself and felt incredibly insecure about having. That reminds me of some news article with a bunch of elementary school kids and they were all bald to support their cancer-stricken classmate. Not a tattoo artist, just heavily tattooed. One of my artist friends told me a story about a guy who came in that had lost his firstborn at 6 years old to childhood lymphoma. The guy wanted to have a full body suit done of all the kids' drawings. The drawings were terrible but he never wanted to forget them. Fuck. As a dad that is so sad. I will continue to say this. I lost a dog too early. I grieved for a very long time. A child is going to be unbearable. When I was about 5 or 6 I asked my mum why her brother-in-law, my uncle, had grey hair when he wasn't old. Turns out I had a cousin that died before I was born. He was 13 when he died, and apparently my uncle basically went grey overnight. My tattoo artist got asked to tattoo a kid, 11 years old, that has maybe 3 months left to live to tattoo the Superman logo on his chest. He had to refuse because he is no medical tattooist, but he told them to paint his chest every time he comes here for free. He is such a cool guy. He was invited to his funeral and tattooed some fake skin. Don't know what he meant with that, and they put this in his casket. Awesome but very sad. Fake skin is used as training material when artists are apprenticing. Usually made of silicone or something similar. It helps them practice their skills before they begin to work on clients. Pig skin and melons can be used for practicing too. That's a beautiful story. Very kind of him to offer the tattoo for his burial. Thanks for telling me. It made him pretty sad and I didn't want to ask further. Simple but beautiful story. Elderly man came into the tattoo shop for his first tattoo. He wanted his wife's name. While drawing it up for him, he explained his wife of 45 years had just passed away a month ago. He told me she never wanted him to have a tattoo but he was in the service and always wanted one of her name, but he never got it because she wouldn't let him. He says I don't mean to be ornery or disrespect her wishes. I just need a piece of her with me until we're together again. Edit. Wow. Was tattooing and didn't expect this simple comment to blow up. Thank you. Kind Redditors. Y'all have made my heart happy today. Special thanks for the award. This is adorable. I hope he is well. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I often wonder if they are together again. She's going to give him an earful, and then look away and try to not grin. My father-in-law had ashes from his dog put into the ink of his memorial tattoo. The artist is a member of the family so they were able to accommodate his request. I've been carrying around a tiny little urn my uncle made for all us kids when our grandpa passed away. Some days when it's really hard I'll open it and then close it and talk to myself for a bit kinda like he's there. If you'd have told me I'd be doing that 4 years ago I'd have laughed and said that's kinda odd. Some people and animals have such an impact. I don't think it's weird at all. I completely get it and I'd do it too but I don't like tattoos on me. In a breakup and the 3 moves since I've lost a ton of stuff on accident but never that tiny little urn. I'll keep it as long as possible. My grandpa was my hero. It's really nice knowing some of him is always around me. Thanks everyone. My grandpa was my rock and loved us all so much. 1 in a billion. Makes me super happy to see there's other people out there doing the same thing. Even 2 years later I can still hear him singing me funny songs or just being an awesome papa. Every single reply I've gotten was really cool and made me smile. Thanks again. E2. This is going to be my top rated comment ever. That's awesome. Before this was one about me saying Steve Jobs' hygiene was gross lol. I'm proud to have this be the comment. My cat passed away last year and I had him cremated because I didn't really know what else to do. I put the box in a sunny spot by the window and plants he liked to chew on because that's where he always liked to hang out. And now I have a new cat that always likes to sit in that same window next to the box. It sounds dumb, but it makes me happy to think that both of my cat boys are sitting and chirping and watching the birds together. I've been diagnosed with leukemia since last year. I can't get a tattoo quite yet, but when I can I want to get a voice wave of my mom saying I love you tattooed where the central line used to be in my arm. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. I'm currently in remission, and if I find out I'm still in remission next week, you got this shit, lad. My brother passed a little over 10 years ago, and one of his best friends is a tattoo artist. He used to be in the military and would write letters to us, so we were able to get one of his favorite sayings in his own handwriting from piecing it all together. I also had him mix his ashes in with the ink. My brother's body broke down immediately when I opened the urn I have for him. Needless to say, he had to take a little break before he started. Not a tattoo artist, but my father-in-law was tragically taken from us. He was run over by a speeding motorcycle. Our family was torn apart. The shit responsible was wealthy, well connected, and didn't even get a ticket, suspended license, asked to take a defensive course. Never acknowledged, apologized. My father-in-law was an amazing and somewhat known artist. While going through his studio we found a sketch of the angel Gabriel, our son's name. My wife now has that exact sketch fit scale on her back. It is a beautiful homage and allows us to keep his memory with us. My mother-in-law is spending the weekend with us. They raised their families and this was supposed to be their time together. Fuck people who walk through the world that way. Please slow down everyone and enjoy the times you have with your loved ones. I'm answering for my brother. He's a talented tattoo artist with his own shop in Colorado. When my first child was born, at 23 weeks super preemie, he was 13. He drew a gorgeous name tag for her incubator in the NICU based on her name, Emily Rose. She passed away from pneumonia when she was 3 years old. Years later my brother have me a tattoo of a reimagining of that name sign. All freehand and it is gorgeous. His art welcomed his niece into the world and his art celebrated her life when she left it. Where is his studio? I need one done in memory of our late son. My best friend died a few years ago in a car accident. The very last conversation we ever had was a phone conversation of him telling me about his new tattoo. Obviously, he never got to show it to me, but his mom sent me a picture of it a few months later. With her permission, I went and got the same tattoo a year and a half after his death. The kicker is, I lived a couple hours away from the artist who did my friend's tattoo, so I went to her. It was so healing to get to talk to someone who had seen him. And now I have a great tattoo with a great story. My dad had a tattoo artist that went on to be a close friend of his. He died suddenly a year ago, and I met the tattoo artist that I'd heard so much about at his funeral. I remember asking him if he'd do my first ever tattoo. I had been dying to get one before I lost dad, and he agreed. But since it was such a terrible time, we didn't bring it up again. I messaged him just recently again and we're now discussing it seriously. And I can't wait to be able to get a tattoo designed by not only my dad's favorite artist, but also his friend. I'm sure there'll be so many stories told and no doubt a kick-ass first ever tattoo at the end that dad would be proud of. Tattoo artist here. I just wanna chime in and say this. Tattoos are a powerful tool for healing, for sure, but we aren't therapists. I get to know a lot of my clients over the years and we tell each other about our traumas and become good friends over time. But holy shit, do not use your tattooist as a therapist, especially on the first appointment, or through a long oversharing email. I care about my clients but I am not prepared emotionally for them to blast me with their trauma right out of the gate. Graphic details of death, loss, abuse, assault. Buddy, I just met you. I have no training to be able to handle this internally, nor to help you in the way that a professional can. Oftentimes therapy costs about as much as a tattoo, and while it's less cool, it might be more helpful in the long run. Edit. While this comment has blown up more than anything else I've posted on Reddit, thanks for hearing me, y'all. Thanks for the awards, geez. That is honestly something I'd never thought of. Of all the things that I thought could make being a tattoo artist hard, I hadn't considered how you potentially have to try to process all the things that people tell you, especially when they are being so open, honest, and vulnerable with you. Refreshing perspective. Thanks for sharing. Not a tattoo artist. I have 2 floral and wildlife themed sleeves that cover 10 years of self-harm scars. Many artists refused to tattoo over my scars, and then I met Wolfgang, the nicest, coolest artist around. He does beautiful work and I now get compliments on my arms instead of stares or awkward questions. I never wore short sleeves in front of anyone before I got my first piece done. His work has given me a confidence that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Tattoos are cool, and Wolfgang is brilliant. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.